Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Minions of the Zoo Night Stream, Thursday edition. Minions joining me this evening are Blind Press,
Good evening, everyone.
Skep Tock,
Hi, everybody.
the Harry Channel,
Good evening.
Sora-Luna,
Hello.
and Sanguine Mathghamhain.
Good evening, all.
How has your day been? I'm going to ask Sora so she doesn't have to play statue that long. She's having some headset static. How's your day been, Sugar?
Okay. It's
Okay.
No, it was good. It was good.
Interview from hell.
Yeah.
I honestly can't complain. It
Just
it was a Thursday. It was good. Tomorrow is a Friday. It will be better.
There you go.
Excellent. You weren't staticky one little bit, see?
Yay!
Yay.
I'm still staying muted though because I'm scared I'm gonna burst people's eardrums.
Okay, but I just wanted to let you know whatever it is, it's not happening right now, which is glorious for you, but still scary. BP, how was your day, Shug?
My day was okay. I had Alex home all day because my mom just bought a new house, so she had a meeting in the afternoon. But it was good. We had fun. We went to the park. He listened to me during school and did his work.
Wow,
So
good
that
boy.
was good.
Yeah.
And we had a pretty good day. It was just a chilled out day. The weather was pretty good. It was like sunny, but it was pretty breezy, unfortunately, so it made things a little chilly. But it was actually sunny, so that was good. So we got to go to the park and play and
Air yourselves out.
yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Sanguine, how was your day?
My day's been good. Had a decent night's sleep. Then I woke up and I saw something that I'm still trying to figure out. If I saw what I think I saw.
Oh, the thing about free speech and CRT?
Yeah, I feel like it was a bad trip, but I've never done drugs. So for everyone who doesn't know, when I woke up, just dicking around on my phone while doing my normal wake-up routine to actually get my brain completely switched on again. And as I'm dicking around on Twitter, I see this tweet that it appeared as if someone was making an argument that it was anti-free speech, that Tennessee was prohibiting CRT from being taught in schools that were below college level. So effectively making sure that you couldn't indoctrinate the little kids into thinking that all white people are racist and evil.
Yeah.
So being racist is not being racist is anti-free speech.
Yeah, apparently.
For some reason, they were of the opinion that saying, hey, we aren't going to spend government funds in order to indoctrinate children and tell the little white children that they are inherently evil. That is a freedom of speech issue somehow. And
no, it's not. It's an academic freedom issue, and usually you don't pull that shit below college level.
Yeah,
right. And
something
even
that doesn't apply to fucking grade school, elementary school, and middle school and high school.
And even then, in academic freedom, there are department heads, and they usually will set perhaps some guidelines. They used to for professors to like knock certain shit off, like if they're blatantly lying. If someone were to prance into a college biology course and begin teaching creationism, there just might be a dust up in the department. Just a bit of one. Now departments are too afraid to say shit about shit like CRT. Harry, how was your day?
It was fine. I actually have a quick question for Sanguine, which is, in this article that you were talking about, I was sitting here thinking about it, and to my mind, if you prohibited the teachers from expressing a viewpoint, like if a teacher wasn't allowed to say they were a Christian, but Christianity wasn't part of the curriculum, that could be like a free speech thing. We're not talking about speech. We're talking about, no, you don't get to decide to hijack the curriculum and basically say, well, we should be studying science right now, but instead open your book to, open the this textbook to page such and such of, Kendi's big book of CRT or whatever it's called. I don't care.
Effectively it was that they were forbidding the teaching of it in a classroom as if it was, something that should be learned, and not just
it doesn't matter.
Bullshit.
No, it's stupid, because if you were a biology teacher and the biology teacher was a Christian and they said, look, I don't personally believe this stuff, but we're going to go through the material and this is what you're going to be tested on, I would have zero problem with that.
Yep.
And I know we're in a fuzzy gray area. I totally get it. But this isn't about speech. This is about teachers taking it upon themselves to hijack the curriculum that basically is being handed to them.
And also the material, because it was saying, we won't purchase textbooks on this shit, for instance. We won't have classes devoted to this shit. And
Well, you're free to start your own school if you'd like to teach CRT, but we're not
and
going to
they
pay you
do
to
that.
do it.
It wasn't that long ago that they were that you were prohibited from teaching evolution in some school districts.
Correct.
That was not that long ago.
I understand.
So I am totally sympathetic to what these people are saying. However, there's a time and a place, and the war ground shouldn't necessarily be the classroom with the kids.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So make your point. Anyway, sorry, my day was swell. It's started out with some very novel problems. Somebody asked me to write one of those 2 or 3 line long descriptions of what I do professionally. I hate that kind of self-promotion, and I hate trying to basically write an elevator statement for myself, because the whole world says, oh, be humble, they tell you, be modest, they say. Oh, and by the way, can you talk about how awesome you are for 3 solid sentences? But, be humble. It's like, no. Don't give me conflicting requirements. This is why HAL 9000, kicked all those people out of the airlock.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, just 2 of them, but yeah.
I don't know.
think I could do that, Dave.
Right, I can't do that, Dave.
I try to build systems that stupid people can't break. How does that work? And then I try to fix what the stupid people manage to break, because nothing's bulletproof.
Have you
PhD
considered
from the School of Hard Knocks in IT childproofing?
Yeah.
Have you considered hiring a bunch of firefighters as your test subjects?
Yeah.
Just okay, here you go. See if you can break it, and see how long time them, because firefighters will find a way of breaking fucking anything if they are given enough time. So firefighter proof is a very
Sanguine. We don't want them taking axes to the actual computers.
Oh no, I'm not talking using axes. I'm saying just give them something.
I
to use,
understand
and
that.
they will break it.
Best QA person I ever knew was this tiny little 90-pound Vietnamese woman who just walked out onto the computer room floor and pulled the power cables out of the side of the giant disk drive.
All right, you two, knock it off. Skep, how was your day, for fuck's sake?
Entertaining. No, it's been a good day today. Got to go over and have dinner with the grandkids this evening.
Oh, great.
We had it's interesting. My stepdaughter, who just married a really nice guy, great guy. He's the guy who did what Mike Rowe said people should do. He didn't go to college. He learned to be a carpenter. and he's now like a master carpenter and just works when he wants to, makes a ton of money, and is so handy. And he's a grill master. He's an awesome grill master, and he just was grilling chicken and burgers tonight. But it's so good when somebody really knows what they're doing on a grill, and it was just fun hanging there, seeing the grandkids, the new babies dropped by, made an appearance. They're gaining weight. They're happy and healthier. And then, it was just a good family night. I got to chainsaw a bunch of wood. That made me very, very happy. And just, it's just been a happy, positive day. I couldn't ask for more. This is to me is what life is all about. All the other stuff is secondary. It's
True that. Very true.
Just a good day. Good day.
Cool. I am glad to hear that. I want to know if any of you feel colonized. Because okay, good.
No.
Because you don't. Oh shit. Well, it's because I was going to see if you wanted to join. And all of us who feel colonized can head out to Hammer City. Because Hammer City sounds like paradise to me.
There's a city close to me that's nicknamed the Hammer.
Well, this actually is Hammer City.
You can't touch this.
No, you can't. And it sounds paradisical. A jug of wine, a loaf of bread, and now beside me singing WAP in the wilderness, because it's I don't know what to call this other than wow.
If you take a bunch of over-coddled, truly privileged millennials and stick them in the Colorado mountains with no services and just their common sense to build a new world, to build a new city, to build their own private Wakanda, my own private Wakanda. Instead of my own private Idaho, this would be my own private Wakanda. And they're going to build this with what and do, a very interesting thing. Jack Cochran had an interesting reply to this bunch. And he said, what are you going to do about, how are you going to purify enough water to drink? How are you going to provide shelter and so forth? When asked how they would provide for heat, they said they're going to burn copies of the Diary of Anne Frank.
Yes,
and use that to start the fires, and then burn their
trees,
wood, burn the trees.
Yeah,
around there. Yeah, and that there is almost no bigger contributor per amount of mass burned to greenhouse gases than wood burning. If we converted to a worldwide wood burning economy to just to stay warm, if we did that, we would turn ourselves into Venus. We really would. We really would have a huge problem because there's nothing that puts water vapor in the atmosphere any faster than burning wood.
But please, look at this.
I do have to.
This is like paper yurts. It's a great idea, particularly for Colorado.
Yeah,
they've got water. They have some soil that they can plant in.
There are mountain lions in that area, by the way. That's in a mountain lion range.
Yes.
Oh, good. They'll have food
God,
and clothing.
No.
Yes.
Thank God, the mountain lions will take care of this problem forthwith.
Well, I'm not sure. I am not. I have something. I went to a reference book because this rang a little bell with me. Now, in fairness to Hammer City is not some kind of communist dream by any stretch, because these people are not fond of Karl Marx. They don't like him. They think he was a colonizer. They actually believe in capitalism to a certain extent. So this is not exactly parallel to something that was written in the 1940s in response to the glorious workers' communes that existed, the idealistic young that arrived home from war, planning to do something spiffy. There was a writer, his stuff appeared in Saturday Evening Post, The Atlantic, Mademoiselle, but Good Housekeeping, that kind of thing. Serialized to some extent. He wrote several novels that some of you might have bumped into at some point or another, but it's highly unlikely because he was a very time-specific humorist. His name was Max Schulman. And he wrote a book called The Zebra Derby. And in The Zebra Derby, our hero, Asa Hearthrug, sets off to find himself.
Hearthrug.
Yes. Well, there are something like 40 characters named Asa in this novel. And he has joined with a group of people who are highly idealistic. Now, these are more modeled on the communists. But he has come to their town called Bonanza. And it is to be a glorious paradise for these folks. And he's arrived in Bonanza and he sees a resident, a old dude in denim and knotted shoulders and gnarled hands. And he clasps this man and greets him as comrade. And this gentleman has something to tell Asa. He tells him, I'm Kvistbergholm. You another one of them crazies, he said. Jesus Christ. They take 20 acres of barley land and plant Tock grapes. In Minnesota, Tock grapes. Jesus Christ, and Van Veek vines is dead, so they have harvest festival all day, and all night they dance in streets. Then they get cow. Jesus Christ, all day long, they milk poor son of a bitch. As soon as one get tired, another start milking. Cow finally run out on road, jump in front of truck. First time I ever see cow commit suicide. So they bury cow and put sign on grave. Hero of Soviet Union. Then they go out in the woods to chop tree. 2 men chops, the rest stand under the tree and say, how majestic is the giant of the forest. Tree falls down. 6 more heroes of Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
That's the image I have. I want this pay-per-viewed.
See, I have a
This is going to be Chaz, except with mountain lions.
This is gonna be.
I have a different image, and it's one that Green Badger Outdoors seems to share. I'm wondering, has there been a watch list established that prevents them from buying mass quantities of Flavor Aid yet?
I have seen that posited.
I actually posited that on Twitter today. I said, so, what flavor of Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I saw several references to Jonestown.
This is gonna be Jonestown, just with hippies.
It's well,
You mean
it's
Jonestown?
Yeah, exactly.
this is going to be Jonestown with POC.
No, you know what? You know what? Why it won't be Jonestown? All kidding aside,
Yeah, it won't be.
it won't be right because there is no spaceship coming to take you away. In Jonestown, the spaceship that was coming to take you away was being dead and going to heaven and being with Jesus Christ.
Right.
And that doesn't exist here. These people are largely atheistic, or they worship some sort of pagan sort of thing, some Wiccans and stuff like that. They don't have an underlying theology. And I think what will happen is there will be bickering, infighting. There will be groups that form. That's pretty typical for something like this. You'll have warring groups, and about the time somebody gets killed, then the adults will come in and say, okay, we're breaking this up and clearing you the fuck out of here. You don't get to, have this little slice of hell up here. And when you start killing people, I think they will kill somebody at some point.
Pincolo says he's
saying-
got Waco vibes. From
No, they're the wrong color.
So you're saying more it's the Lord of the Flies visit Jonestown?
It is more Lord of the time. It's more Lord of the Flies than Jonestown. That's not a bad way.
And it will not end like Waco, BP, because Merrick Garland is not going to be the racist Reno. And that's what would happen.
So what do we know about the people behind this, or the people who are saying they're going to move there? Because that's the thing.
Gadsy Kodo has appeared.
Oh, of course.
I'm gonna say he's
they're screwed.
He's the most public part of this, but there appears to be a little bit of money behind this somewhere, some real money.
Oh yeah, there is, but their GoFundMe got shut down.
Good.
I saw that.
And I can't find the post. And this hurts my feelings that I can't find this, because if you want to talk oppression stack hilarity amidst the colonized, what happened was somebody said you're stealing land that belongs to the Ute Nation, and reported them to GoFundMe.
Nice. Yep. And the Utes stole it from the Paiute, just so you know.
Yeah, they chased the Paiutes up into those mountains.
Right, that's exactly right.
And slaughtered almost every last one of them.
They almost genocided the Paiutes.
This is
that's
what
absolutely
pisses
true.
me off about guilty white people, and how they sit there and we are horrible. We took the land from the natives. Do you have any idea what natives were doing to each other before we fucking showed up?
They just want that quick serotonin, oxytocin hit that you get when you ask forgiveness and get attention at the same time. That's all they're going for. They're not going for philosophical consistency. These are not deep thinkers or anything like this.
Not.
They want to feel a certain way, and they know that when they say certain things and act in a certain manner, they feel a certain way. They're like rats that in one of those cocaine. Yeah, pushing the cocaine button, exactly, and they'll do it until they starve.
It's crazy.
Okay, guys, I'll direct your attention to the screen.
Uh-oh.
This is a mandatory experience, The Revolutionary Book Trap from A Native Daughter by Haunani K. Trask.
This is part 2.
This is part 2, but Chief Itza and Chief Frederico, apparently they're styling names this way, but this is, see if it's mandatory for
Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, I'm sorry.
The Black Hammer organization members.
But Barack Hussein Obama, coincidence? I think not.
This is one of the reasons that I think these guys are trolls.
Well, that might be why they shut down their GoFundMe, because or whatever it was.
Go to jail
just because it looks a lot like a thing where they're going to collect a bunch of money and then disappear into the wind. But so I'm trying to take this slightly seriously just for the sake of argument. So how many people were supposed to be in this community, and over what size area were they thinking?
It's all those colonized people that want to join up.
Okay.
I think, what was it, 30 acres?
I thought it was like 200 acres.
Maybe 200 acres. They raised $65,000 before they got shut down, over $65,000.
And these are acres they're just going to squat on and say, "This is mine."
Well, they're going to
I
purchase.
licked it.
They're going to purchase the land.
Oh, so they're going to purchase.
They intend to purchase the land and establish Hammer City there.
And
They've raised $3,413 of their $50,000 goal.
They only wanted 50. Okay, so they think they're gonna buy 200 acres of land for
Possibly, if it's useless land.
for $50,000, and they are also going to establish a community. So they're going to buy land and establish a community for $50,000.
Paper houses.
Okay.
So you mean literally paper houses?
Yeah, it's apparent. It's apparently, like
3D printing.
Yeah, they're gonna print houses out of whatever.
'Cause 3D
Oh
printing
yeah, I
isn't-
think I know which building technique they're
Yeah,
trying to use.
and they're going to withstand a Colorado winter and
right.
plant crops because now I don't think it's necessarily communalist in that people can commute to work and come back. The paycheck stays in Hammer City.
Oh,
But-
I've just found some interesting information about this bunch. Let me know when you're ready for
No,
those.
you just go ahead.
Yeah, knock
All
yourself
right.
out.
Black Hammer organization is a revolutionary organization whose ultimate goal is to achieve freedom for colonized, capitalized people under the leadership of the international colonized poor and working class. Their mission statement says that, quote, under the leadership of the colonized proletariat, our mission is to use our collective building power to strengthen all sectors of the colonized nation. Their symbol, the Black Hammer, represents breaking the chains of oppression and building a sustainable future for all colonized people worldwide. Black Hammer was founded on February 4th, 2019 by Commander-in-Chief Ghazi Kadzu and Daya Kessi Lungisiani Mohandu Diagni, Niaha Akrili, Robert Quinones, Ghislaine Lopez, and Jonathan Mack. Several of the founders, including Ghazi himself, had previously been members of the African People's Socialist Party, the New Black Panther Party, and Black Lives Matter, but had split after Ghazi, then Secretary General, formally separated from APSP. Okay, that's the African People's Socialist Party. According to personal accounts from Ghazi, he decided to leave his old position upon the learning of the ongoing history of abuses carried out by its chairman, Omali Yeshitela. And then it goes on to talk about Ghazi's blah, 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 blah. And it says, Black Hammer has since grown to be an international organization with chapters in Nigeria, Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and the United Kingdom. The organization as a whole is militantly anti-colonial and vocally defends the rights of any and all nations which have suffered under colonial regimes, such as they did for the African nation of Mali. In a press statement, Black Hammer criticized Prime Minister Boubou Sisi, as his real name, as a neo-colonial puppet to the French government. And that's the entire
That sounds pretty communist.
thing that I got.
Yeah, it is. It is. They say they're not. They say fuck Karl Marx. They hate Anne Frank because her father was a colonizer. But they're not
How
anti.
was her
They're
father a colonizer?
business
Because-
interests.
But
Their Twitter's been suspended, by the way. I'm just going through
BHO's Twitter.
BHO's
I was
Twitter
just
is-
on it.
It is. I am looking at @BlackHammer.org, which is that's their official, supposedly their official Twitter, and it has been suspended. So I'm looking at that. Go to their Facebook page,
I was just
and the
showing
Facebook has. They may have more than one.
Black Hammer Times is
Yeah, Black Hammer Times is that's like the magazine that's the newsletter thing that they have. Okay, Black Hammer organization and their Facebook is up and working. It's looking good. And let's see what else we have here. Let's go to they have YouTube and Instagram and so forth. Looking for the fundraising page. Black Hammer Brewing community.
Nice choice of
brewing.
songs there.
has successfully liberated 200 acres of land to build our city.
Mhm. Look at these guys.
Oh,
Don't-
fuck
but-
off.
Yeah,
Don't they
and
look
at
like the young
10,000 feet.
explorers?
10,000 feet where the pioneer existence is extra cushy.
See, I've always had the opinion when it comes to
Look at that.
groups like this that
Those
want,
noodle arm motherfuckers.
that want to separate and secede, I've always had the opinion, okay, select your land. We'll build a wall around it. The wall won't be to keep people out. We'll allow them to go into your lands if they want to come live with you.
Okay, where are these guys in Colorado? Does anyone know the exact location of the Black Hammer group in?
Hang on.
With
I'm
a
looking.
beautiful view of Fort Collins. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Where in Colorado is Black Hammer?
But yeah, just erect a wall around. That way they stay in there. We'll allow more people to go in, but this is going to be too funny to allow you out. So
It's not that you couldn't have like 200 of the right people, and I don't mean it in some way, don't twist my words, but I mean people who have the right work ethic, the right skills, the right background to basically do homesteading. That you couldn't take 200 people and drop them on 200 acres and make something work out of it.
it's been done.
I just don't
many times in
think
the
these
past.
people stand a snowball's chance in hell of
Exactly.
making it through half of a winter.
Oh my God! You have got to hear this. This is somebody who did some research on these guys. Jonestown 2.0 Racism Edition: Radical Anti-Semites crowdfund $65,000 for doomed city in Colorado mountains. And here's what the guy wrote about it. A band of, quote, anti-colonial and racist activists have, quote, liberated, end quote, land high in the Colorado mountains to build a utopian city for minorities. Commenters are expecting a rerun of the Jonestown cult, but with more anti-Semitism. Openly communist, overtly anti-white, and proudly anti-Semitic, the Black Hammer organization isn't afraid of a fight. The group's Twitter account fires off hourly invectives against the cave beast white race it sees as colonizers and against the Jewish people it accuses of funding the, quote, pig departments and prison systems that mass incarcerate us and kill us every day, end quote. Bizarrely, the group has taken a fix on Anne Frank, calling the Holocaust victim a bleach demon whose death to them overshadowed the suffering of colonized people worldwide. Black Hammer members have taken part in rallies and protests across the country, but the scant media reports on their activities don't mention the racism and the apparently pathological fixation on Jews. Instead, they praise the activist group, this New York Times, for holding vigils for coronaviruses and handing out masks, food, and clothing to their fellow people of color, but only them. But while they have been pushing Farrakhan-style racism on Twitter and getting stuck into charity work on the street, Black Hammer's members have been stockpiling cash. A GoFundMe campaign organized by the group has pulled in nearly $65,000 since last July. That the group wants $500,000 to build a city of their own with free health care, free rent, and no cops. White people and Jews are presumably not welcome. On Monday, the group announced that it had, quote, successfully, end quote, liberated 200 acres of land to build our city, adding that their real-life Wakanda would be for colonized people only, presumably liberated in this instance means bought and located somewhere in Colorado. The Hammer City site apparently has, quote, rich soil, end quote, as well as one lake and 3 rivers.
Do they know about water rights?
Yeah, I was going to say, do they know that they don't own that river? Like it flows through from a source that goes onto their neighbor's property.
I think water law is way beyond these guys. And it's interesting because the article goes on to say, it says
It won't be beyond the ranchers if they're out there.
No, the Black Hammer is not the
their
first
water.
American group to buy land on which to build a racially exclusive enclave. White nationalists have previously taken advantage of low land prices in states like Montana and North Dakota to set up, quote, pioneer little Europe communities, ethnically homogenous settlements of like-minded whites. But while the racists in Montana and North Dakota bought up fertile land, commenters point out that the Black Hammer crew might find it hard to build a sustainable city so high in the mountains. May God have mercy on them, one wrote, for the arid scrubland of one of the most historically uninhabitable regions on Earth will
Yes.
not. And
Yeah.
they are fucked. They
These
really
guys
are.
are the Donner Party, but they're volunteering to eat each other.
Yep.
I mean, I swear to God, that's why when I saw Jack Cochran post it, I said, pay-per-view this shit. It's going to be glorious. They're going to fell trees. Nobody's apparently told them that you can't burn green wood
You have to age it.
worth of
No,
shit.
that attitude, you can't.
Well, right.
Actually, the last line of this article is
God.
they're going to end up eating each other by October.
Yep. Oh yeah, the first snow is going to hit, and they're going to find out that green wood doesn't burn. And I mean, how many tomato plants are going to give their lives for this project?
Just how many copies of Anne Frank books did you stock up for?
I
before the
know.
letter shows up? No, but actually, I want to commend Skep for again. You called them the bee-hoes
Yes.
Yes.
earlier. I think that we should try to get as many people as possible to
I
refer to them as
agree.
the bee-hoes. Black Hammer Organization, aka the bee-hoes.
Well, people were doing that with Barack Hussein Obama when he first came on the scene, and that was quickly branded racism. So, we probably,
Should
be a little circumspect. I think it's funny and I think it's wonderful too. But I just remember that it got quite a reaction when Barack Hussein Obama people started calling him Beho.
I don't think you could take 200 Amish and drop them into that location and have them succeed.
You could
Not 10,000 feet up in the damn scrub.
Oh, are you
Did
kidding?
you see that picture? Did you see that
It looks
high
like a
desert
desert.
chaparral
Well, yeah.
bullshit
The other
that
thing,
they were in?
that ground is so hard and so rocky. There is no nutrients in the soil up there. That the only thing that will grow is the oldest kind of tree on Earth: pine trees and
Pine
spruce.
trees, yeah.
They can't even support deciduous trees.
Nope.
You can't support deciduous trees. Corn's not going to do real well there.
No, they're
Why
fucked.
has corn never grown at 10,000 feet, Prospero? Because
Yeah.
everything's wrong.
Yeah,
I
Everything's
think it
wrong.
grows sweet potatoes. Oh wait, wrong climate, right altitude.
yeah, wrong
What about
climate, wrong
quinoa?
soil. Quinoa, that's right. They can import a Peruvian grain into the modern American Andes.
Yes.
That-
They can
that-
culturally appropriate a Peruvian grain.
I have a question. So
Yes.
this is for people who've been colonized, right?
Yes.
So how old, how far back in time are we going for the colonizing?
Now,
Technically-
this
Like,
I
is
do
it-
know.
is it-
They're sympathetic to the Roma.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wouldn't be okay, Sora, because
Well-
you're Romanian. You'd be okay.
Are they saying the Roman conquest? Because I'm not saying I'm to join them or anything, because screw that. But it would be would I
well,
be
the
invited
problem-
on or shot on sight?
Yeah,
The
there are
problem is
there are no
that-
mimosas in paradise, honey.
I think I joined in on
Gross.
a bit of taking the piss out of this group on Twitter a few days ago when this was first popping up, the very basics of it. And someone commented, wait, so you're accepting Slavs, right? And one of them responded, why the hell would we accept Slavs effectively? And they went, well, we had to eventually free ourselves after we got the kebab out of our ass. And someone went, oh yeah, getting the kebab out of your ass? Fucking racist. And you don't know about the Golden Horde or the Ottomans, do you?
Uh-uh.
What about
does
Rome?
furniture got to
Rome,
do with anything? You racist.
Rome colonizing Britain. Anybody of British extraction has clearly been colonized, and Ireland. Oh, don't even start.
And they were super colonized by the Vikings.
Yeah, exactly.
King Canute, anyone?
Yeah,
The
the Scots.
that land. It's like I don't know when they plan to move there, and how long a growing season they think they'll have.
That's the other thing. The growing season is 2.5 months.
They may as well have purchased 200 acres of Saharan desert.
But it freezes every night, by the way, during the growing season, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't live unless you have greenhouses.
Yeah.
They would need greenhouses, and those greenhouses would have to be heated because
They don't have power or sewer or water on
I
this
just
land.
love how
They have
They have
water.
water, but
They
no
have
sewers,
water.
which means they
They-
soon won't have
They have
water.
Giardia filled. I lived in Colorado. I hiked in Colorado. I used to climb 14ers in Colorado. You cannot drink the water from the streams because it has Giardia in it.
no, they have a Giardia
It's-
filter. They have developed. They've been working on Giardia filters.
What
From
kind
what
of
I-
Giardia.
It's
technology?
called God's
Notoriously.
Yeah, they've been doing water filtering in Missouri.
It's Godzi Kudzu's kidneys.
No,
Likely.
there's somebody that's been doing water filtration work in Missouri.
Well,
It's
I'm
just
filled with confidence.
so am I. They're gonna
um,
have dysentery in no time.
That's okay. That would be
You
hilarious.
just pour the water
They will
to
die.
Godzi first, and then
They will dehydrate. I mean, they will hit a crisis that by the time they call for help, people will not be able to be saved.
Yes, there will people. You're absolutely right. People are going to die in this nonsense. People who should not have to die, except that Dr. Darwin's laboratory is always operating 24/7, 365. He never takes a day off. He never takes a break. He's always at work, and this is going to be one of his prime areas for operation, and there's going to be a lesson that comes out of this, that when you start to take jokes like Gazi Katsu seriously, you're going to get what you paid for.
If they think Godzi is going to live out there, with them,
Go fuck no.
they've
I'll
got
come and visit you maybe once.
they've got
That-
another thing coming.
that light loafered person? No.
The closest he's going to get is a
same gender-loving
condo.
individual.
The closest he'll get to them is a condo in Boulder.
Yeah, maybe a helicopter flight over,
Yeah,
paid for by them.
quick visit, full Idi Amin outfit.
Well, the thing is that if you're going to this commune, do you really need to have all the property and money that you're coming in with? So what you do in order to free yourself from all those restrictions is first you donate to Biho and to Godzi Kodo in order to prove your loyalty. Then after you donate, then that's when you go to Hammer City.
That's probably how it works.
Yep.
You probably donate to the
I
GoFundMe.
started
and then
out
you-
bullshitting, and then I realized I'm just laying out the plan, aren't
And
I?
then you probably donate to the GoFundMe, and then you probably get an email that says like, here is your pass into Hammer City. Please show this email at the fucking gates.
They
There's
could
some
just
of the
pay for it all with the television rights, honestly.
Yeah, what that interesting. You should say that. Some of the tweets about this are excellent. Austerity Fist says mostly just excited when the tell-all documentary "Terror at 10,000 Feet" drops. 2 years from now.
Beautiful.
I wonder how
Good
many of them
God.
have wandered around at 2 miles up and recognized how quickly they will become exhausted.
Yeah. Why do we get these headaches every night?
Yeah.
Well, we know they probably haven't been skiing. It's a cultural thing.
Yeah, that's a fact. Well, it's snow. is
No,
what-
but they also could have, as movie titles, they could have snakes on a plane, but it's PLAIN.
Yes.
Nice. Well,
And there will be snakes. There
Yeah.
will be snakes.
there
Because you
actually
know what
are no.
enjoys-
There are no snakes up there. Believe it or not.
Oh, that's right. It's too cold. I was thinking of the pines, but you're right. It's
No,
too,
that's
too
not
high
the
up.
problem. It's too high up. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
It's the
they-
altitude that keeps the snakes away.
The snakes get all sleepy, and
And-
things don't go well.
Yeah.
Given the undoubted ratio of same gender loving individuals since Ghazi's involved, they might not fare as poorly due to the altitude as we're thinking. I mean, Viagra is a decent way of staving off a good number of the issues.
It's true. But Viagra costs money. They're going to need another GoFundMe.
Yeah, I love
You know
how
what?
they think they're going to accomplish all of this with $500,000.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing. Is
ye
that
of little
they
faith.
are going to? What I predict is that they are going to develop such an appreciation for all the conveniences that they enjoy, and when they have to go without their energy drinks, and there's no cell service up there, by the way.
I can't
There's
make my TikTok videos.
no fucking cell service at all. Even Verizon. I remember I climbed Quandary Peak and I had my cell with me. No, Mount Democrat, that's what it was. And I had my cell phone with me, my Nokia cell phone, the Nokia phone that everybody had back
The one that
in
worked
2000.
everywhere.
Yeah, this was in the year 2000. And I took it with me one time just to see if I had any cell service. And the cell service vanished as soon as I was 3 miles away from I-70. Driving to the access road, it just vanishes. You have absolutely nothing to help you. I understand it's better now. So they might actually have some cell service there. But how will they charge those things? I guess they'll have one of those solar generators. I hope they have plenty of them. I hope they know how to maintain them. Maybe take a screwdriver and maybe an electronics manual. What do you think, Harry?
I think it's going to be there's going to be a lot of things that are like Lysenkoism, but bold new ideas that are wrong.
Bold new Lysenkoism.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Gazi Koto's Lysenkoism. It's like how do you get plants to grow?
I know.
Basically.
Shout
gonna
racial
yell-
epithets at them.
They're gonna yell "Ahuru," and plants will spring from the ground.
So,
What kind
Harry,
of articles would be in this magazine that they have? Would it be articles like using your own feces for fuel?
so Harry,
What is BMO? Think of other articles that might be in BMO BO magazine.
BO magazine. Picking the corn out of your feces. It's not so bad.
so Harry, am I right in saying that you're putting money now on that they're going to do to Lysenko what Lysenko did to Lamarck?
Yeah, basically. I don't think they're going to be all hung up on genetics, but just imagine decolonized science and agriculture. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Oh my God!
Shall I rev up the massive Van de Graaff generator or Tesla coil and get out the chain mail?
We're
My
going to get some
offer has not
fertilizer.
been
Yes, we know nobody's taking you up on it.
We're going to get some fertilizer, but and then you say, that was created with the Haber process. Haber sounds pretty German. Well, guess they're not having fertilizer, that asshole.
Yeah.
Okay, we've beat this thing to death. These guys are going to come to a bad end. They're going to blame, of course, Whitey, because somehow we are going to be at fault. We will be the ones who brought this thing into the shambles. Yeah, and the blood of those people who were eaten by the bears. Oh, did I tell you they have bears up there too? The guys who were
brown bear
eaten by the brown bears, yes, and I think they have grizzlies up there too.
Wait, is that why Gazi selected this area? Did he misunderstand what they meant by bears?
Yes, that's exactly why.
Possibility. There's that possibility.
Oh my God, Sanguine.
Yeah.
There is a way this might work, though. It just occurred to me there is a very slim chance they can pull this off. And the way it would happen is if they suddenly basically luck into a fundraising bonanza and they get like some deep pocket corporate sponsors or crazy individuals who just throw money at it. Can you imagine if they had an embarrassment of riches and started building Quonset huts and all this stuff, they could build a thing that would fail it would fly so high and crash so hard.
You need to get a bunch of universities together and get funding, because this is obviously a social experiment.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is going to be
I-
funded by higher education. They will have like endless buckets of money thrown at them.
No,
ERBs, where you care
even
about it,
better,
immediately go no.
even better than that. And that's the way they would start. And then they'd realize, wait a minute, we're ignoring the most obvious source of funding on Earth. They'd ring up Kamala Harris and say, we need a little bit of government funding. We need, in place, in lieu of reparations, here's something you can do. That's the way they'll sell this. And they'll say, be a part of our bold experiment. Be a part of our attempt to do something really, really woke and really, really liberated, really, really resistance. And she'll go, well, sure, and get out the massive government checkbook. And that's where Harry's idea about constant huts springing up and half barrels up in at 10,000 feet with ersatz, half-assed electrical systems and water systems that poison you more slowly come in, and they kill a whole bunch more people much more efficiently by giving themselves enough time to set up enough people to fail and die even more spectacularly. Yes, it's not a high probability future, but it's an entertaining one.
So what about the Native American law specialist who they wanted to have as Secretary of the Interior? Was she Secretary of the Interior or Deputy Secretary of the Interior? I don't remember.
Secretary Deb Haaland.
Yeah, there was this one Native American tribal law attorney.
That may have been a deputy. I didn't think that Deb Haaland did. Yeah, no, that was her stuff.
I could see her totally signing off on that. I can see Duckworth getting on the phone and calling her up and say,
Deb Haaland is Native American. She made history when she became the first Native American to serve as a cabinet secretary. She's a member of the Pueblo of Laguna and a 35th generation New Mexican, for whatever that means. Anyway, she grew up in a blah blah blah. Her father was a Marine. Blah 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 blah. And everybody else under white boy.
She's not the highest ranking Native American to serve in the United States government, though. They're one of the vice presidents
and a senator.
Yeah,
wasn't Native American and a senator. Yes, Senator Warren.
Yes, Senator Warren.
So hey, I'm only going by what I've been told. I don't want to upset Susan.
I was going to say, we're counting her? Okay.
Oh, no. Let's not upset Susan. If I wanted to upset Susan, the show would have a different title.
With the heritage testing I've had, I think I'm probably one of the few people who is less native.
Possibly. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Congratulations. But there's
good God.
I just thought it was funny that one of that person was like, these are tribal lands that belong to the Ute, but before the federal government stole them, and we're reporting your GoFundMe. And it's like, oh my God. The intersectional GoFundMe reporting. If you're colonized, you're supposed to be able to join this group. Don't you want to join this group? They should appeal to you.
We have to circle back on this story and check in from time to time to see how things are going.
Yes, we do. This is definitely one we want to bookmark.
God damn it. I can't remember what the hell it's from. It's a comedy movie where it was, and now we'll check in with our black correspondent. Shit's crazy! Okay, going back to the news.
It sounds like the Family Guy. Now with Ollie Williams with the Blackie weather forecast. How's it going, Ollie? It's raining sideways!
Yeah. Well, yeah.
If you want something that will depress you, look through the leadership
thanks.
of the Department of the Interior. I'm not going to go through this. But
Yeah.
it's just diversity hire after diversity hire after diversity hire then there's one guy, there's one adult, Robert Anderson, white male, Harvard Law School professor, and the rest of them are just diversity hires. They majored in gender studies, and they have no apparent connection with anything.
No executive experience at all.
Members of the National Wildlife Federation.
Good.
She was a member, meaning that she paid dues.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Robert Anderson has got a lot of long nights ahead of him for the next few years, doing all of the actual work.
Oh Lord, that's exactly right. He's got, oh man.
But that's
so
okay.
I don't know if you want to talk about this for any length of time or if this is on your agenda, but did you hear about the menthol cigarette ban that Biden's kicking around?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know if that's interesting to anybody but me.
That was my old brand was Newports. I used to smoke Newports.
I for a while smoked the ones that you could pop a bead and you could turn it in from a regular cigarette to a menthol if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
See,
a lot of people smoked menthol at some point. My mother smoked menthol. I smoked menthol when I was first well, I switched back. I started with regulars and switched to menthol because I liked the taste. Yeah. And then I switched from menthol off because they were talking about mentholated cigarettes being
super bad.
Was super bad because of higher incidences of pneumonia among mentholated cigarette smokers.
Yeah. And lung damage also, by the way.
Yeah, but it's this notion that somehow or another that menthol cigarettes were the purview solely of black people was...
Yeah.
That's some racist bullshit there.
That was
like, the hell?
That was the thing that absolutely floored me, because when I first heard, they're going to ban menthols and also flavored cigars, I went, oh, is this the stupid shit about it's advertising to children, so we need to get rid of it because it's going to make children want to smoke up? And then I find out, nope, it's because black people. Wait, what?
Yes.
How did you become even dumber than the stupid shit I thought you were saying?
But I wanted to just put one more thing in. Deb Haaland is a graduate of the University of New Mexico School of Law in 2006. Yeah. But after repeatedly taking the bar exam, finally gave up.
Ooh.
She is still not a member of the bar.
Ouch.
Which is why she was dealing in tribal law.
Yeah, she now says that she has no interest in being a member of the New Mexico State Bar.
I'm shocked.
And she is.
I didn't want to, anyways.
But there's some kind of law thing with the tribes that you can where you get to practice law for the tribes. What is that? And you don't have to be
state certified.
You don't have to be a member of the bar, and you get to represent them as an advocate. It's some kind of it's tribal administration. That's what it is. Okay, she's a tribal administrator. Never mind. Yeah, she's just a failed lawyer. That's all she is.
Yeah.
She was nursed through University of New Mexico Law School and then failed the bar like 6 times.
Or however many times they allow it to be taken.
Yeah.
If that history doesn't scream...
American many times, Prospero. Sorry, go ahead. So
if
go ahead, Prospero.
That history didn't scream, well, that's fine. I didn't want to be part of you guys anyway. Yeah. I don't know what does.
The fox and the grapes. I didn't want those grapes anyway. They're probably sour.
Yep.
I meant to do that.
Yeah. I just, let's elevate the losers. Oh my God, this is so bad.
Well,
Is that the new slogan of the Democrats?
it appears to be.
Yeah, effectively, that's what if there was truth in advertising, that's what it would be.
We aspire to be mediocre.
Now, she's incompetent. I mean, she has demonstrated the fact that this is not a good mind.
No.
This is not a superior. She has never won an award that was a merit award
Yeah, but what about all
of any
that
kind.
structural racism involved in those tests?
Yeah,
You know, they're and they're sexist.
yeah. She admirably. She started a salsa company to support herself and her daughter, but she could not earn enough money to afford housing, and so was relying on friends for shelter. This is a law school graduate. Oh, Jesus.
Can you get your money back? Is there a
From
refund?
law school or the
Yeah.
salsa thing?
Just the refund.
Possibly
because
both.
I think they should just refund her law school money.
Yes.
That's sad.
I agree.
That should have failed her out. That's what used to happen. You used to could fail out of law school. Now, if you're a minority, they simply will say, no. We'll give you special tutors, and if you can't pass the regular examination, we'll give you a special examination. That is literally what they do.
Gosh, I hope that's
I
not
had a
true.
science teacher that did that to me because I was blind. He passed me, even though I had no business passing that class.
Yeah,
Taking you upstairs.
And he passed me, and my mother was livid with him, and he refused to fail me.
well, someone should have intervened before you registered for that class. If there was too much hands-on lab work that was
I should.
required,
Well,
that
the problem was I should have been in what was called the applied science class.
Yes.
The academic science class, because I am not a sciencey, mathy person.
right.
I am a languages, English, music person.
Yeah.
So I should have not been in the academic science class.
The
But
Democrats would make you into an airline pilot and pass you
yep.
and encourage you. No, take the controls. It'll be okay.
And then sue the airline that did not want to hire you.
And the libertarians would just give you a driver's license just because.
I often want, just for the hell of it, to record myself walking into the Ministry of Transportation and going, I would like to write my driver's test, please. Could you provide me a brailled copy of the test?
They probably have one.
Right this
They
way, ma'am.
probably do, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, they
What
probably
Sanguine said,
printed
right
them
this way,
before.
man.
Yeah, yes. They probably printed braille copies, embossed braille copies to because somebody was like, "Where are the braille copies?"
We have plenty of those.
Yeah, here, have the whole box. That
You want a
we
crate?
ordered. Yeah,
Did you have, or walk in and go, do you have the driver's ed manual in braille, please?
I bet they do.
why not? That's restrict. If they don't,
Do you
it's
want it in
restrict-
English Braille or do you want it in a different language?
Would you like it in French? It's just, oh God, it would be interesting to check that out because it wouldn't surprise me if somebody did that out of habit without thinking what department it was for.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I do want to do eventually is go and study to get a license to own a firearm, like own and shoot a firearm.
Yeah.
And there are blind people that own fire. I have a friend in the States. Her husband's a police officer, and he has trained her in the proper use of all the guns in the house. And I think she has her own pistol. as well.
Okay, Johnny, remember, I shoot in the direction that sound happens. Be very quiet.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, if ever in the zombie apocalypse, I'm the one who stays at the base, and if anyone comes near and doesn't make the appropriate signal noise,
Yes.
they get
You
their asses
blast them.
shot.
There's a... damn it, what movie is it? It's a John Wayne movie. Someone couldn't hit the broadside of the fucking barn, so he got this ridiculously sawn-off shotgun and just pointed in the general direction where you hear sound, pull the trigger. Hope that it isn't someone important. I'll give a call sign every time.
There's a Perry Mason episode. I think it was. It was either Perry Mason or Matlock. I think it was Perry Mason, where the person who was guilty ended up being a blind man who had shot his business partner because he had placed a folded piece of paper on the stairs. And when his business partner stepped on the piece of paper, it made a sound, and the guy shot him and killed him.
There was a blind man kills the man who blinded him and frames the man's girlfriend. Does that sound?
I think that might be it. Yeah.
That was Matlock.
Was it Matlock? Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember if it was either Perry Mason or Matlock, but it was an interesting episode. It was pretty cool. It was like, that's actually pretty smart.
Yeah, I think David Ogden Stiers was in it.
Yes.
You're not going to believe
Yeah.
this, guys. I have found driver's manuals in Braille.
Wait,
Shit you not. And here's what's going on. These are for people who have profoundly limited vision, but it's good enough that they think to drive.
Yes.
And also there are some blind interpreters who might indeed need to read the driver's manual, for instance, as part of research or preparation for their job.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some, and of course, it's Washington State that has this.
Mm-hmm.
You can write to this address in Seattle and get a Braille reference, driver's reference.
I really wonder if Ontario has that.
It's just really hard to use.
I looked in Canada first, and I had no luck. I couldn't find. Didn't get any response that made any sense.
It's just really hard to use your cane while going down the freeway.
There have been a couple of TikTok videos because it's so weird how many people ask blind people if they can drive. And a lot of us, there have been a lot of TikTok videos in the blind community where the blind person will be like, yeah, this is how I drive. And one of the videos was like they had their cane out the window. The other one was the blind person had a guide dog, so they had the guide dog jump into the passenger seat and put their paw on the steering wheel. Just because it's so ridiculous. Like, you're blind, can you drive? It's like, what? Why would you want? Why would you want that?
Now, this might just be family lore from my family, but apparently I want to say it was a great aunt of mine. Her vision was failing. Her friend's hearing was failing.
Oh, God.
So her friend with the failing hearing, and also had problems with her hands, would be the eyes, while the driver was the one with failing vision.
This sounds like straight out of fucking See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Yeah, it's and by the way, Sanguine, just to answer your question, it was El Dorado. It was the James Caan character. When you were talking about it, I was like, oh my God, was it Rio Bravo or El Dorado?
Yeah, those two I always mix up in my head.
It was El Dorado, the James Caan character, because Rio Bravo is the earlier film with Ricky Nelson. I did want to mention the time. I'm not trying to chase you.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, on that note, I do need to head out because I do have to do school in the morning with Alex. But there is going to be a coffee stream tomorrow at noon Eastern. And I've decided I'm really considering moving the gaming streams back over to Twitch because they kind of break up the continuity of the YouTube channel. So I'm thinking of putting the gaming streams back over on Twitch, just to keep the YouTube channel more consistent.
I can see your point.
So yeah, that'll. I'm gonna add the Twitch link to my link tree.
Okay, good.
For everybody.
Good. That's linktree /.
That's link.tr or linktr.ee/blindpress. And
she got merch.
I got merch, yes. And Saturday we're gonna do part 2 of our relationship discussion. So that'll be fun.
Cool.
Yeah. Come see us, guys.
Thanks for being here, honey. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Good to see you, sweetie.
Fun. All right. Good night, guys.
Night.
Good night.
And to keep the balance of power north of the parallel.
Kwame, y'all. So what is this I hear about these white devils like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris trying to steal my minty fags that I like to put in my mouth and suck on?
That is disturbing,
isn't it?
That's because I'm a white devil, and you just don't understand us melanated folk.
Those aren't the only same gender-loving individuals that he likes to.
Hi, all.
Hi, Dr. Functional. I like what you've done with yourself.
I got a tan.
It's highly seasonal. And
he's been a character I've paid attention to over the years just because of his sheer lol count. Yeah.
That sweater is quite festive too. I think it's very festive.
I still find it hilarious when it was
the ugly motherfucker.
Was it a Sargon video where he found out that Blittler wasn't actually Blittler? He was Black Goebbels.
Yeah, Goebbels.
God damn it. That's awful. That is awful.
More like black gargles.
Gargles. Just careful now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want Susan to get sad.
Yeah.
Bad things happen when Susan is sad.
Entirely different things than when you become sad after talking about the Clintons, but still interesting things.
Yeah, that's
If I can back up a little bit, we were talking about the banning of minties and menthol cigarettes and flavored cigarettes because we're also talking wine dipped cigarellos and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I believe it's a pretext to go after vaping.
Yes,
because they've been trying to for a while under immense pressure from big tobacco to go after vaping, and they couldn't for the longest time. But now, if they get this settled, then that leaves them an inlet to go after the vaping because they are selling tobacco nicotine products that are flavored.
Yeah, the thing might be big tobacco might say, okay, all reluctant, like if you give us vapes, you know, that tit for tat. Who knows? Enough money will be involved that it will be.
Yeah, because originally when they were like, okay, well, we're going to tax it like normal tobacco and everything. I'm like, okay, wait. First of all, you're not inhaling smoke, so physically, it's already less dangerous. And this is not about being healthy; it's about harm reduction. Because smoking is pretty much one of the worst things you can do to your body.
Yes.
On as a regular habit. If you want to get into that sort of discussion, okay, we can talk about how there is still a little bit of a harm and still a little bit of a health cost and blah blah blah. Sure, but to tax it akin on par with tobacco was just a ridiculous non-starter for the vaping community. So what they did is they came, and this is in Canada, they came about halfway. They said, okay, well, we're going to tax it because it does have nicotine. It is a controlled substance. And you do have to become a licensed retailer of the stuff. You can't even have people under the age of majority, which is 19 for those products up here in the store, blah, 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 blah. And they made all those concessions and whatever. And then the industry boomed even greater than the lobbyists thought. And so that's when they kind of, they started the disinformation campaigns, the whole popcorn lung thing that's been happening. I love rum soaked cigars every now and then.
Rum soaked corks are the best. I just love those. They're so mild and so wonderful.
It's just, well, you can't have nice things.
No, and especially when it has such an immense net good for public health to get people off of smoking. Again, it's not healthy, but it's a severe harm reduction. I've had plenty of friends who've had multitudes of success in switching to vaping, and then either sticking with the vaping or getting off inhaling altogether.
Yes.
Inhaling product, not...
Yeah, they use it as the wind down.
Yeah, because they're still getting their nicotine fix. They're still getting that autonomic habitual response to stick something in their mouth and inhale. And eventually they can wean off of it. I had myself a lot of success with it. I think in total 2 stints of 1 year off of cigarettes, simply vaping, but then I switched back to smoking because I don't know, I'm stupid and I like smoking.
And before you corrected yourself, I was going to say, well, I have a much quicker solution in order to
move to Colorado.
In order to stop the issue with inhaling. It just is a bit more permanent.
No.
And before I give Skep a heart attack from that ugly, ugly picture, put up a beautiful man instead.
That was an amazing laugh.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the Apple video was...
Yeah.
I laughed just at the memory of that.
Until Saturday, I think it was Harry who actually told us what the original back and forth was. I had no idea what the original, dialogue was, but I've seen, countless memes of that, of the Apple thing, of things like video game related.
I didn't know either until Harry showed us. Yeah. Until Harry shared that one.
It just tells you the amount of character and comedy this man exuded just from his presence in emotes alone.
Yeah. He really had, you talk about infectious humor. That's almost definitional right there. That's just about perfect.
He was when I first heard it, I thought, oh my God, this is awful because I can't resist it.
Yeah.
The harder you try to resist with an infectious laugh like that, the longer you end up laughing.
And speaking of laughing, do we want to laugh at the fact that the government is pursuing something called modern monetary theory?
Please.
Oh, no.
Yes, I think that I have been waiting for the right time, and now is a perfect time to segue.
There's a very interesting thing going on, and it was predicted actually by the founders hundreds of years ago, and they said the country is going to be in trouble when the people realize that they can vote themselves money. what I find interesting is that it took 200 years, essentially, for the people to come to the conclusion that not only can we do it, but it's a good idea to. And the idea is that since the government controls the money supply, the supply of money, we're going to talk about that in just a second, they have the ability to print as much of it as they want to, and they can increase it to whatever size they think is appropriate. Now, back in the day, this wasn't possible because every dollar had to be backed by $1 worth of gold. That was called the gold standard. That's called a commodity-based currency. Commodity-based currencies are different from something called fiat-based currencies. Fiat-based currencies are backed by nothing more than the full faith and credit of the issuer of that currency. So, and the dollar went off the gold standard years ago and is not backed by anything except the faith and credit of the United States government. And essentially what that really means is that we back our currency with the promise that says our country will remain wealthy enough and productive enough, and that's an important concept, and efficient in that production enough to maintain the value of this currency. And furthermore, that we will not inflate the amount of dollars that we print irresponsibly. And so along comes this thing called modern monetary theory. Now, this is a heterodox framework. It's not, or it's heterodox just means different from the norm, different from what is generally accepted. It's kind of theoretical. It's sort of like and I think it's about as valid as the flat Earth theory. But it's a framework that says that monetarily sovereign countries like the U.S. and also the UK, Canada, Japan, and so forth, which spend and tax and borrow in a fiat currency that they control, are not really constrained by revenues, okay, when it comes to federal government spending, which means that they can print as much money as they want to. They can spend as much money as they want to. They can create as much money as they want to, regardless of the amount of money they have coming in. So it's like having a magic bank account where you know, as long as you have checks, you can spend as much as you want, and you can get an infinite number of checks. So there's theoretically no end to the amount of money you can spend. And so governments like that don't rely on taxes and borrowing for spending. They can print as much money as they need, and they are the monopoly issuers of the currency. Okay, so since their budgets aren't like your regular household budget, their policies should not be shaped by fears of a rising national debt. That's what the believers in this nonsense theology of economics believe. And it challenges all the conventional beliefs about the way government interacts with the economy, the nature of money, the use of taxes, significance of budget deficits, on and on and on. And what they say is, critics say, these beliefs are a hangover from the gold standard era and are no longer accurate, useful, or necessary. They never prove why that's true. They just say, we don't like it, so we're going to ignore it. And so this modern monetary theory, which essentially just states that you can print as much money as you want, they use it in policy debates to argue for progressive legislation, and it's the magic way by which universal health care and UBI, universal basic income, are going to be funded, because normally the government wouldn't have enough money to fund those things. But when you can print as much money, when money printing machine goes burr, you can print as much money as you want to. So, some people say that kind of spending is fiscally irresponsible. People like me, for example, because the debt is going to balloon and inflation is going to go to the moon. Now, what is inflation? Very quick explanation of inflation is that you have too many dollars chasing too few goods and services. Okay, think about money chasing goods and services chasing money, and you'll have it. And so when you have too many dollars chasing too few goods and services, what happens is the value of the dollar with respect to those goods and services becomes deflated, and due to inflation of the currency. So when the value goes down, what happens is other people around the world begin to notice this, and they begin to not have faith in your currency. And then what happens are very bad things, because your currency will devalue relative to other currencies in the world that are healthier, that are not inflated the way that yours is. Advocates of modern monetary theory don't believe that. They say, no, that will never happen, because all you have to do is be the United States, and because you're the biggest, baddest motherfucker on earth, nobody is going to dare devalue their currency. But they're wrong about that. And there's another thing that happens too, that the modern monetary theorists never talk about. They never mention this, okay? And that is, when you inflate the currency, which is what they're doing, when you devalue the currency through inflation, you encourage competition. You say, well, what possible competition could there be to the dollar? I'll give you a moment to think about it. Harry, what's the answer to that question?
What was the question again? What was the exact wording?
The question is, what currencies could possibly compete with the dollar in the United States, okay, if the dollar gets too weak? Is there a form of currency, some kind of coded currency somehow that could secretly take the place of the dollar in transactions?
You mean in a black market, some sort of currency which the government couldn't inflate, possibly?
Exactly. The government might not even know about the transactions in the currency. It's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it.
We have nothing to lose.
You're being
but our
very
blockchains.
cryptic.
Yeah,
We have nothing to lose but our blockchains.
Exactly. So, and you'll never hear Paul Krugman say anything about this, because or if he says anything at all, he says that is that's a blip, that's a fad, that's going away, and in 5 years you won't even, there will be no Bitcoin.
Oh my God, that means we're fucked.
Be no Ethereum,
That's what he says.
Yeah, and everything is going to be, rainbows and unicorns. So the MMT theorists say that debt is simply money the government put into the economy and didn't tax back. I want you to think about that for a moment. These guys say that debt is simply money that the government put into the economy and didn't tax back. Okay? They also argue that comparing a government's budgets to that of an average household is a mistake. And they acknowledge that inflation is theoretically a possible outcome of such spending. Theoretically, I love that. They say it's highly unlikely and can be fought with policy decisions in the future if required, like conquering the other countries that you have fucked over economically. Is that what you had in mind? They often cite the example of Japan, which has a much higher public debt than the U.S. Well, first of all, Japan is tiny. Japan has complicated economic relationships with many other countries, and is in no way comparable to the U.S. But I get ahead of myself. So, according to these theorists, because obviously there has to be a limit someplace, and what they will say is that the limit the government has when it comes to spending is the availability of real resources. What are the real resources? Workers, construction supplies, the things that go into making things, the things that go into having production in an economy. When government spending is too great with respect to the resources available, inflation can surge if decision makers are not careful. That's what they say, and that is true. It's just, where do you draw the line? Where do you say this is too great and this other number is not too great. Okay, taxes create an ongoing demand for currency and are a tool to take money out of the economy that is getting overheated, say these guys. Let me say that again. Taxes create an ongoing demand for currency and are a tool to take money out of an economy that's getting overheated. So if the economy gets overheated, like inflation starts to take place, you hike taxes. Everybody with me so far? Does that sound, any of this sound good to you? This goes against conventional idea that taxes are primarily meant to provide the government with money to spend to build infrastructure, fund social welfare programs, and so forth, and instead that taxes are part of a circulatory system, and that really most of the money is meant to return to the government. That's what you have to wrap your mind around to get behind what they call modern monetary theory. The idea that debt doesn't have anything to do with what the possibilities are with respect to funding government and government programs. So they can fund as much. They can do AOC's Green New Deal. They can have $30 trillion and just throw that into that, and it's not going to be a problem. They can have another $30 trillion and have UBI. They can have another $10 trillion and do a healthcare program that really makes sense. What happens if you were to go to your local IRS office to pay your taxes with actual cash? Wrote one of the people who were really behind this, a guy by the name of Warren Mosler. First, you would hand over your pile of currency to the person on duty as payment. Next, they would count it, give you a receipt, and hopefully a thank you note for helping pay for the Social Security, interest on the national debt, and the Iraq War. Then, after you, the taxpayer, left the room, they'd take that hard-earned cash you just forked over and throw it in a shredder. And he's actually right in as far as that goes, because money isn't really the cash. Money is something that exists on a ledger. But what he doesn't say is that what the taxpayer did, handing hard currency back to the government, is a very significant act. Modern monetary theorists think that's not a significant act, and that's just a normal thing. The normal flow of all cash is back to the government. Okay, that's what you have to buy to get into this. So I'm almost finished here. MMT says that a government doesn't need to sell bonds to borrow money, since that is the money it can create on its own. So no more issuing government bonds. You just print money. The government sells bonds to drain excess reserves and hit its overnight interest rate target. That's kind of a technical point, but the existence of bonds, which to these guys are like a savings account in the Federal Reserve, is not a requirement for the government, but a policy choice. He doesn't explain, they never explain why you would choose to ever issue a bond when all you have to do is print more money. Even they realize that this is an absolutely bankrupt proposition. And so anyway, what you end up having to do, and here's the ultimate effect of this with respect, and it really hits in the international arena. When you have printed so many dollars, and there's so many dollars circulating throughout the world, and the other nations are getting pissed and they're starting to devalue your currency, that's when you have to make those policy decisions they were talking about earlier to combat other nations conspiring against you to devalue your currency, or to actually rightly value your currency. So you insist on a certain value for your currency, and you say, I won't do business with you, or I'll threaten you with war, or something else. That's essentially what these guys' punt point is. And I think that is an absolutely bankrupt notion, and it points out that what you've really done when you choose to print money like this is you're stealing from the international community. You're stealing value. You're taking something that is not yours. So anyway, that's my rant. Thank you for listening to me.
It seems to go hand in hand with the with the new government theory of we the people, the government.
Yes. Yeah, Joe Biden's misstatement, supposedly.
Damn it, Joe! Always saying the quiet part loud.
Yes.
See, the thing that really bothered me about what Skep just went through there is it really boils down to everything you own and you are the government's property. Be
Yes.
happy it isn't collecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's the summation.
Be thankful for
of
the pennies that
entire
you get.
thing. In order to believe any of that, you have to believe that everything you have and yourself are the government's property.
Yeah, it's that sinister.
Yep.
And people, they have managed to convince people that their rights are bestowed upon them by the government. There is a Greek house at Virginia Commonwealth University that's in trouble for some reason or another. I didn't really look into it. I didn't need to because the way this report came out told me everything I needed to know. Apparently, the investigation is ongoing. They do not know whether this house, Delta Chi, has committed wrongdoing, but the university has already announced that they will be suspended if that's the case. So the punishment has been decided before there's even been a determination of fact.
Oh, modern justice theory, yeah.
Yeah. Modern justice theory, like modern monetary theory.
Modern government theory, yeah.
It's absolutely bass backwards.
Yeah.
And all of that isn't really very modern when you really look
No.
into it.
No, it's not. It's
just repurposing
Considering-
old bad ideas.
Yeah. Considering it was
rather monarchical, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, it was always a thing that if you're the biggest, baddest son of a bitch in town, then yeah, you're able to go, hey, I'm taking this. It's mine now. Consider yourself paid. And if you are as big and badass as you think you are, then a good chunk of the time the response is, oh.
Well, when the
Okay.
creation of the government, it is kind of seeded that government needs to have the monopoly on force because its job is to protect us from enemies.
On the larger scale, sure, but I mean, even your own government, when it was formed, realized the need for individual protection.
Right, well, that was
Just adding that little addendum.
individual protection and as a check against a rapacious government.
Sure, yeah.
Because that was absolutely discussed by the individuals involved in framing the Constitution and
Yeah,
in
look at where they came from, exactly.
I
Yeah.
see.
and in
love-
writing about the suggestions of the Bill of Rights.
I still find it hilarious that there's the constant argument of, well, they were talking about muskets. And then I'm going, okay, so the letter that was written to them going, hey, I want to purchase and then completely outfit and run a private warship. Is that allowed? And the response back was effectively like, why the fuck you asking us? What part of shall not be infringed?
Yeah.
Did you not
People were
understand?
allowed to own cannons,
Maxim guns.
Maxim guns. The Puckle gun had been, never ever take the word of an anti-gunner on a historical fact. They are the most historically illiterate crowd of people when it comes to what they like to yammer on about
But
what the founders meant. Fuckwits.
philosophically, I can understand the argument for larger weapons of mass destruction being outlawed, because then you're treading on the mutually assured destruction tiptoes, and we don't really want to go there.
Yeah, I don't want suitcase nukes in everybody's garage.
There's no need for it, and like I said, if one person sets one off, that ruins everything for everyone. So yeah, okay, we can have that discussion where this line can be drawn. And I think that's a safe.
And most people can't afford those kinds of things.
Mhm.
That was always the attitude when it came to the larger weapons of war. Not many people could have a foundry create a cannon for them.
Yeah, but
Or purchase one.
I'm a fairly liberal individual, and I agree. Yeah, you want an RPG? I don't care. You want a tank? I don't care. You want a nuke or like an aircraft carrier kitted out with jets and pilots? And no. Wait, let's back that up for a minute. You could bomb an entire seaboard with that.
You would end up with plutocrats challenging government.
Yeah, and that gets way over past the line.
More directly than they do. One of the things I was going to tell you was back in ancient Rome, the money was in what they call denarii, and the denarius aureus was actually gold money. It was literally gold, and the price of silver was fixed by how many what the hell was it? It was a Sestertius, I think. Was the no, it was also called a denarii. But the silver denarii, it was like 25 silver denarii to 1 gold denarius, and it also equaled 10 bronze asses. And the interesting thing about the bronze asses was the bronze asses was kind of a fiat currency because it wasn't in any way really related to the gold money. They printed, they stamped as many asses as they wanted to, as many bronze asses as they wanted to. That was different from the way they handled the silver denarii, where the silver denarii were that was how the price of silver was fixed. It was 25 of those to one denarii of gold. But the bronze asses were invented essentially because they needed more money. And so they said, well, we're going to have a hybrid money supply where part of it is commodity backed, the gold and silver part, and part of it is going to be a fiat currency. And we're going to print as many bronze asses as we want and say that each bronze ass is equal to 1/10 of a gold denarii or 2.5 silver denarii. So you have bronze being more expensive than silver, even though obviously, bronze was not even back then. I just thought you might find that interesting.
But when it came to the legions, they were paid in something entirely different.
Well, they were paid a salary, and the salary comes from sal, which was the word for salt. And yes, for a while they were paid in salt. That's absolutely true.
Commodity,
salt
not just a commodity.
It went to their families.
Yep, not just a commodity-backed currency, but the literal commodity.
Yep.
It's funny how they had to, in part, create smaller bits of currency because the value of goods was so cheap compared to the actual currency. And now here we come going the opposite direction where we're ditching small change and small bills because the inflation is so up there that, a loaf of bread is going to cost you a fin.
Yeah. Actually, and Prospero knows this story well. At the end of World War II in post-war Germany, people were walking around with wheelbarrows full of old Deutschmarks to buy a loaf of bread. Was billions and eventually trillions of Deutschmarks, and they eventually just had to give up on the currency. And what guys like Krugman are saying is that'll never happen to the dollar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because the United States is special.
And Carmen's sitting there, hold my beer.
I almost have to say well done to these people because they seem
such a massive con.
Well, they seem to despise the United States to the core of their being, they talk about what a shit place this is.
Yeah.
We're racist and sexist and xenophobic, and we hate the poor, and we just shit up everything, and we filthify the air and water, and we're horrible,
Compared
horrible
to who
people.
else, jackass?
But they drone on about that, and then they say, "Yeah, but we're great enough for this."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a really good point. It makes you wonder if the end game that they're playing is they know that they're going to bring down the United States. They know that what will eventually happen is we will not be able to maintain our territorial integrity, and our country will be split up against the victors. And this is their revenge against white people, and their anger at us, at supposedly white people, for having all the good stuff and keeping it away from the people who aren't white.
And because the
And overall,
Chinese
just
aren't
American.
white, they are better than we are.
They are white. They're just
just-
white in a different way.
Vindictive against this American success story.
Yeah.
And it was I watched a video
Failed
where
people who didn't make it in the American dream that are bitter about it.
Because they were kept down unfairly by
Bullshit.
white.
Yeah.
Because they're lazy
Yeah.
motherfuckers by and large. And I'm talking about everybody. I'm not talking about people of color. Because you have a lot of white people doing the same bitch.
No, there are no white poor people. There are no white losers.
Christ.
But I saw this video speaking what Skep was just talking about. After the Venezuela collapse, and guy has a suitcase full of money, literally a suitcase full of money, goes up to a hot dog stand, buys a hot dog and a bottle of water, gives the guy the suitcase. And at first I was laughing, and then halfway through I'm like, oh.
This
And then
is
I kind of
for real.
just felt like, yeah, this is gross.
When they were using Magic the Gathering cards
Oh God. that
Oh
is
yeah,
so
Magic
pathetic.
and Pokemon and
and
yeah,
Pokemon and stuff, because those were more valuable.
they actually had value.
They had hard currency value. Yeah.
Yeah, they had hard currency value.
Yep.
They literally the people themselves shifted their currency in order to try to survive.
That's
And-
absolutely true.
And
That
that
actually impacted me directly. My Magic the Gathering cards that I had since I was a teenager doubled in value, so I sold them.
You could buy some Venezuelans.
Yeah, you know,
I could buy a city in Venezuela.
they would
for
have
that much.
they would have happily been purchased if it
Yeah,
if it
absolutely.
meant the opportunity to be in Toronto instead
Indentured
of
slavery for 10 years, and I get to move to Toronto. Where do I sign up for that?
the
Yeah.
reason it is not Venezuelans at our border is Maduro.
It's also far away.
It's far away, and it's also Maduro. They can't get here.
They can't escape.
They can't get here. That was the situation with the Cubans, which is why you saw people on rafts and cars that were turned into boats.
Boats. Yeah.
You know, I
Risking
mean,
life and limb to survive.
genuinely pathetic.
Now, when you see the guard towers on the fence around a country, look to see which way the guns are
Guns are
pointed.
facing.
Absolutely, absolutely, and for all the concern about the wall, we've already taken it a step farther. We don't need a wall to keep people in. The wall that was discussed along the southern border and is still discussed apparently was defensive, economically defensive, and we're still in a pandemic. States are still in various stages of lockdown, and the United States has decided that quadrupling the number of people who can come in across the southern border, which is not the same as someone coming in on a visa program as a computer.
Some form of declaration of their intent to be on American soil. Yeah.
Right. With a skill stack. This has nothing to do with the race of the individuals. If you have the skill stack that we need, come on in. We don't need any more manual laborers in that sense. I mean, we do, because there are people that won't do shit. Montanans are going to find out the hard way. Oh, God. They either have or are planning to pull unemployment benefits.
Ruh-roh.
Stop them, because they have a workforce shortage. Won't
Okay.
you know what they're doing? They're pulling a Denmark.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And
Explain.
and it's okay. What Denmark did, Denmark had unlimited unemployment, and it didn't. It's not so much that it had a workforce shortage, although it was beginning to develop one. It had a money problem, because people were like, "Fuck you," and sitting at home. And so they made an announcement that you get 99 weeks, I believe it was, of unemployment. And after that, you don't get any more. And miraculously, as people phased toward their 99 weeks, they found employment.
They got really good at finding jobs at about the 90th week.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, Denmark's layabout.
Now, let me say this about that, because there's a comment to be made about Denmark. I actually talked with Tim Kronsel about that. He's my Danish friend. And he said, yeah, but.
Yeah.
What they said was, we will continue to pay your unemployment forever as long as you stay in college and get acceptable grades, which means not a failing grade or not failure to show up grade. So if you do that, if you can make D's in college,
in perpetuity,
you can stay in college until you die and be paid a salary, and it's a living wage by Denmark. And what Sage said was that it's still a better policy than what you find in Norway and Sweden, where they're basically subsidizing unemployment and
bringing Syrians in to do the work.
Yeah, oh God, it is just a bad scenario. Sweden is fucked, basically.
Yeah, Sweden's. I mean, when Denmark,
they have screwed themselves.
When Denmark's upset enough to close a bridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Norway's got to be feeling pretty good about some decisions they made versus what Sweden did.
Yeah, they're in much better shape than Sweden. But there are people who want to subvert that in Norway, in the Norwegian government. That's a big fight, evidently.
Well, the Norwegians are also a bunch of cocks. The Norwegians are miserable shitheads. They're so woke. I mean,
they're terribly woke.
They're terrible. I know someone from Norway whose life was made a living hell because of Anders Breivik.
Right, I forgot about that.
And he's left Norway again.
Yeah.
Because he cannot find employment in Norway. Because
this is a guy people can Google, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can.
Because of the abundance of foreign workers?
Because of what happened, Anders Breivik cited something he wrote. This man writes under the pseudonym Fjordman. And Anders Breivik also quoted Lenin, Stalin, and Adolf Hitler, but
unimportant.
Utterly unimportant. But first he was hounded by the press and the police. Then he was functionally. Then there was a television show where a thinly veiled character named Fjord Guy, kind of thing, was the Hitler-esque character.
So they completely railroaded him across all the.
Oh, they did. They threatened. They threatened to charge him as the Swedes worded it this way: co-criminal.
Surely those other 3 to 4 names will just go down as footnotes in history compared to Fjordman.
I mean, but Fjordman had never met Anders Breivik. Didn't know him. He was living in Oslo at the time. Other than that, there was no commonality whatsoever. When he got his laptop computer back from the Norwegian police, they were pretty sure malware was on it to track his movements. They didn't give him his socks back after they tossed his apartment for a year. His socks. I mean, that's what it just was ridiculous.
This is a guy you know quite well, don't you?
I have been in his company for a protracted period of time. Yes.
Okay.
And
I don't know how much you want to talk about that. So.
No.
Okay.
But when he met Mark Stein, Mark asked him about his socks, which I thought was rather clever. But because of what Fjordman wrote about, he wrote about the Islamization of Europe, and the difficulties and the dangers, and talked about cases that barely got any notice, and how the culture in Norway was accepting aberrant behavior out of these individuals who had come to live in their country out of mistaken compassion. I mean, the security individuals didn't intervene in a rape on a courthouse steps. You know, those kinds of things. There has been unbelievable shit that has gone on.
Did they feel like they would spoil the mood?
I think I don't know. I think they just didn't want to engage. It's like what happened in Cologne on New Year's Eve. You know, the girls shouldn't have been dressed like that or behaving like that.
It's really their fault.
It was really their fault. Somehow or another, you brought on that.
Was failure to take the cultural context of the people who raped them into consideration and, you know, to dress appropriately so that these men could not help themselves because of their background.
Sweden has changed their laws regarding rape in this.
Finland has legalized rape if you come from Syria.
Oh, it's Finland. That's right.
Yeah, it's Finland.
It's if you're a cultural enricher, you may enrich our culture. That's their attitude, and
you may plant your seed in our garden.
But I mean, Norway is a beautiful country. It has lovely people in it, and it has slightly smarter people than in Sweden, but not much. But I mean, Fjordman can't even get work that is significantly beneath, you know, in this regard. He can't get work in a furniture factory.
Mm-hmm.
There are jobs going wanting, but people will not hire him because of who he is. And this is
McCarthyism.
10 years later, a decade later.
It isn't even so much because of who he is, but who cited him.
Well, it's who they made him out to be, but because of his name. I mean, his name is out there. I mean, his actual name. I'm calling him by his pseudonym out of just common decency to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing a lot better than he was 10 years ago. Let's just put it that way. I mean, he's in a better place.
When you and I talked about this like 2 years ago,
yeah, he'd been getting.
You were
threats
pretty concerned.
Again. Yeah, he was getting threats again. He was trying to live in Norway again and looking for work, and yeah, I was. I've seen an interview with him since. That. I was very, very happy to see a degree of self-confidence and humor, and absent some of the stressors that were there. I'm not saying that in the time that I have spent with him, he was not a very good-humored person. It was just He's a very hounded person, very worried person.
Mm.
And rightly so. His life was utterly and completely turned on its head. I mean, and there have been many people that have told him, well, if you would just stop writing about this stuff, it's like, so I should stop thinking what I think. I should stop speaking how I feel. If you just silence yourself, life would be better for you, Members of his family told him they thought he was mentally ill.
Good God. What a nightmare.
Yeah. So I was very, very happy to see this interview because it was a relief. I'll see if I can't scare it up and share it with people who are interested.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Because he's a fine fellow. He's a fine fellow. And I was happy to be able to get to know him as well as I had, because I don't like seeing that kind of injustice brought upon anyone. It's one of the things that I don't like about the press trying to dox jurors in high-profile cases. I don't like it when I see people hounded in their homes. Any people. I didn't like the idea of anybody marching to the Seattle mayor's home. And, people should be able to have a life that they can lead without being vilified and ostracized.
Yeah, do it at your local office where they, are supposed to represent. That's where you should be protesting.
Yeah.
When you march to somebody's home, you're sending a message.
Yes.
Message of terror.
Yeah, it is it is
terroristic
behavior.
Yeah. It's not like a terrorist attack. It is terroristic, though, in nature, because you are, whether or not something physical comes of it, you are still instilling a sense of fear.
What happened to Tucker Carlson's house?
Yeah, exactly.
That was a terroristic act. They were bashing on the door. They
throwing rocks.
They were
yelling,
shouting threats to his family. That block should have been shut down by the police, and every person on it should have been arrested until it was determined who was there protesting and who was there gawking.
Yeah.
You never see scenes like that in Texas. Have you noticed that?
Well, that's because the neighbors are going to come out with a shotgun and go, "Hey, motherfucker, get off his lawn."
That's all we.
Turn of phrase.
7 p.m. I'm trying to watch my Jeopardy.
All you have to do is be on our property, and we have a very strong castle doctrine, second most aggressive castle doctrine in the United States after Missouri. That you come on our property, and we don't even have to try and throw you off. All you have to do is we reasonably feared for our lives, and we shot him. Good for me. Works for me. See you next week.
Yeah, see you at church.
Yeah, exactly.
The turn of phrase, a polite society is an armed society, comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. An armed society is a polite society. That came from Robert A. Heinlein.
Yeah, just like fences make good neighbors.
It comes from Time Enough for Love, the sequel to Methuselah's Children.
Harry, I heard you chuckle. Were you ready? Did you have something you wanted? Oh, I like your money, by the way.
Oh, yes. Well, I have a whole bunch of things to say. I was preparing quotes for the end. I mean, there's so much I could add to what's being talked about. I'm trying to be a little more passive. Like the whole idea of money, there's an abstract that goes a little further down than I think what Skep got into that might be worth talking about at some point. And that's why I put that picture up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, this is money on an island. I can't remember whether it was Borneo or wherever it was, but it's like, and you don't even carry it around. Everybody just knows who owns that particular rock. Oh, you want to make change? Here, have a smaller rock with a hole in it. It doesn't really matter, but we've moved past that.
Yeah,
and we've thoughts territory.
Yes, we have. And if you want to kick off final thoughts,
it's the Yap Islands, by the way. In my,
I'll give you what
you're
thank
thinking.
You. I can never remember that. I'm terrible with first names and the name of.
Just remember me and how I just open my mouth constantly and yap. And you'll.
So I think you'll have my picture next to that
so
word.
I am trying to decide, Prospero, between two quotes, and I'm not really a big quote person, but I felt it was time to dust some off and bring them out. Would you rather have Solzhenitsyn or Nietzsche?
Solzhenitsyn.
He asked me.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Solzhenitsyn, thank you.
Okay.
I agree.
good choice.
God, you guys are
No,
a bunch
because
of
Skep
cowards.
is most likely to pull something out of his ass of Nietzsche, so we'll go with Solzhenitsyn for you.
The simple step of a courageous individual is not to take part in the lie. One word of truth outweighs the world.
I like that. Miss Sora, who's been muted because of static.
Hi.
Hi. Do you want to say anything, darling? Fuck your headphones.
That also, if you decide to buy property and become your own self-sufficient commune, maybe don't go up on a mountain in a desert.
Good
But
point.
what do I know? Nothing.
Good point. Yeah, no, actually, you know more than these dear people. Dear
Please don't
God.
give money to these people. You're just throwing it away.
Yeah.
He's going to come down off the mountain with some tablets and go, Quava, y'all.
Oh,
Good
God
guava.
damn.
Also, good evening.
Oh, good.
Hi. I got a couple quickies.
Sorry.
Since we were already on the topics, women and cats will do as they please, and men and dogs should get used to the idea. Like what you were saying, Sanguine, an armed society is a polite society. Manners are good when one may have to back up his acts with his life. I always forget that the second half myself.
Absolutely.
Heinlein.
Yep.
Yeah. Smart fella. Sanguine.
I'll leave off with laughter is a roar of hope in a hopeless time.
Thank you. Skep, you got any Nietzsche for us?
I actually do. One of my favorite Nietzsche quotes is a real short one, and when he said that woman was God's second mistake. Think about it. You'll figure it out. But
The first was Pluto.
I thought his shortest quote was "Scheisse."
Might have been, but in a more serious vein, and this really summed up who he was in terms of his philosophical view of the world and of reality, really. He says there are two different kinds of people in the world: those who want to know and those who want to believe.
Yeah.
That's Nietzsche.
Yes.
So those are my Nietzsche quotes. But originally I was going to go with the old standby from Julius Caesar. It's easier to find men who will volunteer to die than find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. And there's a lot of truth to that one too. So I had a few ready to go tonight.
I just knew that Nietzsche.
A woman is God's second mistake. That's a very famous quote.
Yeah, but I knew that he figured prominently in your playlist of quotes. So
Well, yeah.
Well, I don't have any quotes other than to thank chat for being with us this evening and thank.
Quoth the Raven.
I really might before I close. Jesus Christ. I can't even say goodnight without being interrupted.
It wouldn't be a standard night if you got.
All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.